Today, we delve into the top 10 most dangerous countries for travelers, where uncertainty is high and risks are real. Whether it's political instability, rampant crime, or environmental hazards, these destinations demand careful consideration before embarking on any journey. Join us as we navigate through these perilous terrains, shedding light on the challenges faced by adventurers and the precautions necessary to navigate them safely. So fasten your seatbelt and prepare for a journey into the unknown as we unveil the top 10 most dangerous countries to travel. Number 1. Afghanistan. In Afghanistan, the crime rate is high and U.S. citizens are frequently targeted for kidnapping and wrongful detentions. The country's instability, porous borders, and armed groups create an environment conducive to lawlessness. Kidnappings of U.S. citizens are often driven by financial gain or political motives, while wrongful detentions occur amid security sweeps and a lack of proper legal procedures. The consequences for victims can be severe, including prolonged captivity or physical harm. Despite efforts to improve security, the risks to U.S. citizens in Afghanistan remain significant, necessitating caution and vigilance when traveling or residing in the country. Number 2. Eritrea. In Eritrea, human trafficking is a significant concern driven by factors such as political repression, economic hardship, and compulsory national service. Citizens, especially young adults and minors, are vulnerable to exploitation and abuse, including forced labor and sexual exploitation, both within the country and during irregular migration facilitated by traffickers. Limited resources, weak law enforcement, and government restrictions exacerbate the challenges of addressing this issue. Comprehensive measures, including legal reforms and international cooperation, are necessary to combat human trafficking effectively and protect the rights and well-being of Eritrean citizens. Number 3. Central African Republic. The U.S. Embassy in Bangui, Central African Republic, faces obstacles in providing support to American citizens due to the country's unstable conditions. Limited infrastructure, communication, and resources, compounded by security risks and political instability, hamper the embassy's ability to offer timely assistance. This underscores the importance for U.S. citizens to exercise caution and register with the embassy when traveling to or residing in the Central African Republic. Number 4. Iraq. In Iraq, terrorism and kidnapping remain persistent threats, causing fear and instability. Despite government efforts, these risks pose significant challenges to both citizens and foreigners. Foreign governments advise against non-essential travel to Iraq due to these security concerns. Addressing these challenges requires a comprehensive approach and regional cooperation to ensure the safety of individuals in the country. Number 5. Libya. In Libya, sex trafficking thrives amidst political turmoil and armed conflict. Vulnerable populations, especially migrants and refugees, are exploited for sexual purposes by criminal networks. The lack of effective law enforcement and institutional weaknesses contribute to the impunity of traffickers. International organizations and NGOs are working to address the issue, but challenges persist due to limited resources and the ongoing conflict. Efforts to combat sex trafficking require strengthened enforcement, support for survivors, and addressing root causes of vulnerability. Number 6. Mali. Mali faces significant security risks due to armed conflict, terrorism, and instability. Militant groups operate in various regions, targeting civilians and security forces. Weak governance and intercommunal tensions exacerbate the situation. Addressing these challenges requires comprehensive efforts, including strengthening security institutions, promoting dialogue, and fostering regional cooperation. Number 7. Somalia. Somalia grapples with pervasive violent crime, fueled by political instability, poverty, and the presence of armed groups like Al-Shabaab. Limited law enforcement exacerbates the issue, allowing criminals to operate with impunity. Addressing this challenge requires international support and efforts to strengthen governance and security institutions. Number 8. South Sudan. South Sudan continues to face significant challenges stemming from armed conflict and widespread kidnapping incidents. The country's history of political instability and ethnic tensions has led to prolonged violence between government forces and various armed groups, resulting in civilian casualties, displacement, and human rights abuses. In addition to armed conflict, kidnapping has become a common tactic used by armed groups and criminal networks to extort ransom payments or exert pressure on opposing factions. Both South Sudanese citizens and foreigners, including humanitarian workers and journalists, are at risk of abduction, further exacerbating the humanitarian crisis and hindering efforts to deliver aid and support to vulnerable populations. Number 9. Syria. Syria remains embroiled in a multifaceted conflict characterized by chemical warfare, widespread kidnappings, and detentions, including of U.S. citizens. The use of chemical weapons, including sarin and chlorine gas, has been documented throughout the conflict, leading to devastating civilian casualties and drawing international condemnation. Despite efforts to hold perpetrators accountable, the use of chemical warfare continues to pose a grave threat to the civilian population and humanitarian workers. Kidnappings and detentions, often carried out by various armed groups and government forces, are pervasive in Syria. U.S. citizens, including journalists, aid workers, and activists, have been targeted either for political leverage or financial ransom. The arbitrary nature of these abductions, coupled with the lack of transparency and due process, creates immense uncertainty and fear for those detained and their families. The situation is further complicated by the fragmentation of authority and the presence of multiple armed factions, each with its own agenda and methods of coercion. Number 10. Yemen. Yemen faces significant challenges with sex trafficking, exacerbated by the country's protracted conflict, widespread poverty, and breakdown of law and order. The humanitarian crisis resulting from the conflict has left many Yemenis vulnerable to exploitation, including women and children who are often targeted by traffickers. The lack of effective governance and law enforcement in many parts of Yemen enables traffickers to operate with impunity, trafficking victims both within the country and across its borders. Women and girls are particularly at risk of being coerced into sexual exploitation, including forced prostitution and forced marriages. Additionally, the displacement caused by the conflict has further heightened the vulnerability of Yemeni populations, with internally displaced persons, IDPs, and refugees being particularly susceptible to trafficking due to their precarious living conditions and lack of access to basic services and protection mechanisms. Lastly, here is a bonus. Number 11. Jamaica. Jamaica grapples with high levels of crime and murder, presenting significant challenges to the safety and security of its citizens and visitors. The country has long struggled with organized crime, gang violence, and drug trafficking, contributing to its reputation for crime-related issues. Murder rates in Jamaica have been consistently high, with gang-related violence being a primary driver. The proliferation of firearms exacerbates the situation, fueling deadly conflicts between rival gangs and resulting in numerous fatalities, including innocent bystanders. Efforts to address crime and murder in Jamaica have included law enforcement initiatives, community policing, and social interventions aimed at addressing the root causes of violence. However, these efforts have faced challenges, including resource constraints, corruption within law enforcement agencies, and the entrenched nature of criminal networks. Additionally, Jamaica has sought international assistance and cooperation in combating transnational organized crime, particularly drug trafficking, which contributes to the country's crime problem. As our exploration of the world's most dangerous travel destinations comes to an end, it's essential to remember that while these countries present significant risks, they also hold unique cultural treasures and natural wonders. While adventure beckons, safety should always remain a top priority. Whether you're a seasoned explorer or a first-time traveler, thorough research, careful planning, and vigilance are indispensable companions on any journey. We hope this guide has provided valuable insights into navigating the complexities of travel in challenging environments. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more travel tips and adventures. Until next time, happy travels, and may each step lead you closer to the wonders of our world.